Okay. Very mysterious. Like under the sea. I personally think whoever cast this or did the CG did a great job because she has this face that's very likable. I mean, I can totally see my Korean female friends have a really good first impression of her. She has this like facial feature that's very likable and kind of like a, you know, almost like innocent and like a teenage girl, right? But full of curiosity and little mysterious. Yeah, so I think this one was particularly really well done. Wow. Look how she's pregnant.
Dad, I know you think I'm crazy.
Never mind those big rocks.
Okay, so I have a lot to say about the dad here. I think the dad is weak. I know this is a huge statement. I've talked about this with my students, and I know it was divided into two groups, right? One, you know, they thought that. By the way, we watched this film together. I watched this film together with my students. The dad is being very wise, very realistic. He is trying to just protect his family, and the other, he was just being too harsh on his sons, his children, and he was avoiding the danger. He was escaping from the danger rather than facing it. And me personally, I think I tend to lean toward the second one because as a result, he loses his first son. I know this is all fictional, right? This is not a history. This is not a fact-based. This is not based on true story, but I think this is what happens if you keep avoiding danger, avoiding taking risks. In the end, you end up losing the most precious thing.
But I feel her. I hear her heartbeat.
They're flying.
She's so close.
They're flying in the sky. It's beautiful.
So what does her heartbeat sound like?
Man, every time I see that guy, I just want to punch him in the face.
Mighty.
So they signal to those the tribes that live in the ocean. Okay, something about the ending, right? I like this movie pretty much like for the most part, but toward the end, it was becoming a little too long and nothing really came unpredictable. You know, like it was easy to predict. And I wish it was it is a little shorter, you know, like how they were fighting, and also yeah, except for one thing, how the first son dies. By the way, there's this. I know this is a spoiler for people who haven't watched it. I should have warned this, but yeah, I'm gonna just put it on my thumbnail. Loss of the first son was just pretty much the only thing that was unpredictable. Everything else was just kind of, you know, what people would guess would happen.
We cannot let you bring your war here.
Outcast.
The way the tribe, right, the water tribe, reacted when they came here to move in or immigrate was very realistic. It was very detailed, and even, you know, the part of one of the sons bullying the second son, right, of the other guy, right? Oh man, I forget all the names here. It was very interesting. I had to just stay focused so I would not lose any detail until when they make up after the second son forgives that guy, right? And that's something, I don't know, it was a little tacky and predictable once again. And also, is it even realistic? I didn't find it very reliable. I mean, relatable, because, like I talked with my one of my students, she said in real life, bullies don't really they don't really change. You know, they don't become they don't really become good just because you forgive them. So this is one of those things that a wishful thinking has been reflected on. So I don't know. I didn't really, yeah. I mean, overall, once again, this was a good movie, but this is another that was just kind of was a little not up to par for me.
That's all they see. And after
This
your
creature.
death,
This is our home!
I need you with me. I need you.
I don't know. I mean, one of the reasons I like this movie was because it had just so many philosophical messages that are kind of hidden, not very obvious. But if you kind of observe this movie very closely, you'll see these subtle messages. You know, for example, the way the main character, the father, handles this danger. I think that was real. The way his emotions, the way he deals with it, his mind works. It's great work. It's very descriptive and very realistic. You know, a lot of people react that way. A lot of people's mind works that way. But here, she does, the martial arts thing. She doesn't even fight, but she just does this energy bomb. I thought this was too animation, very way too fictional. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm taking this too seriously, but I don't know. I think this was probably the most tacky element of this film.
You to be strong. Strong heart.
Oh no, I don't want to punch this guy in the face. Being harsh on your own family, but wuss outside. Okay, so I want to talk about something else too. One huge part of this movie is the sons, or the second son especially. So the first son complies with the rules. He follows all the regulations, guidelines. But in the end, what happens? He dies. Whereas the second son, he kind of rebels, and he is very independent. He will explore if he has curiosity. He just doesn't sit around and just listen, right? And what I say is, that's very American. That's very American. I think this is something that sits deep in the subconsciousness of Americans. This is how America started. How they came to the land where Native Americans lived, and for the freedom of religion, right? Freedom of belief, faith. They could have just complied with the norm back then, or complied with the rules, but they resisted. They didn't back down. And this is why the second son, what the second son represents here, the character he represents, is very American, and that's why he is probably the hero here. He plays a very important role. Okay, so Avara 2, a lot of people say it's not as good as the first Avara, but for me, I think that's because this is a curse for the second episode after the original one makes a great success, because people already have these expectations, high expectations. So it is inevitable that the follow-up, usually almost all the time, ends up disappointing people. And I thought for me, this one was almost as good as the first one. I mean, I don't. I see how like people think it's just was disappointing, but no. I thought this reflected one of the things that touches upon. Some ways it was obvious, other ways it was subtle. Was this commonly touched upon value of American society? The family. Talks about the family over and over throughout the course of the movie. It's rather subtle, but toward the end, it talks about it. The family. How, in the end, the family. It's about the family, and family is the most important thing. It's something that you live for, you die for, and this is why, people like myself who do not necessarily believe that you you must marry someone and have a children. I mean, I don't want to say I am disturbed by it, but I don't agree with, like, entirely with this message. And I know most American films, almost all American movies, are based on this value, American value, which is family. And I know some of I've talked about this with some of my Korean friends, and they say that, well, I thought the main theme of American movies is America's the best. It saves the world when an alien attacks. But hey, even Korean films are pretty nationalistic too, a lot of times. I think that exists in the movies of other countries too. But yeah, so this is another thing that makes this film very, very American. And about the demonization of humans, this is probably something that a lot of people also felt, but they represent people that invaded into the lands of Native Americans, while about us are the Native Americans. They live here peacefully and in harmony with the nature, blah blah blah. But I think the relationship has become little complicated with this guy, right? Because he's half Abara, and he's kind of, I mean, although he's the evil guy here, he has this connection with Abara too, because he is the father of the guy who is the best friend of this Abaras. Well, it's been a while since I watched this movie, so I don't remember all the names here, but yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to like and leave a comment, and do not forget to subscribe, share it with the beloved ones.